Yeah, that's perfect.
All
We're
right,
good.
We
So
managed.
yeah, we managed to figure it out. So we're not live, although Tim, we're looking at the ceiling on Instagram.
Oh man, here we go. Oh,
What's
boy.
up,
See,
everybody?
you know,
Welcome to another episode of the Geek Boutique. Hey, this week we're all about Star Trek. Actually, last week is a big deal for the world of Star Trek. It was the season finale of Picard season 2. It was a series premiere of Strange New Worlds. A brand new Lower Decks mobile video game has come out. Kinda. It's a beta that came out.
video game. Can you say video game again, please?
Video game.
Video game. Perfect. Nice.
So it's been a big week for Star Trek. So we've got a couple of our resident Trekkies joining us today. First of all, you know, if everybody online here should already know both of these people. They've been on before. When they're not on, they're in the comments. First of all, Black Captain Kirk, Mr. Tim. Listen, I like to pull your chain, bud, on the show, but I hope you know I'm just messing with you.
Hey, always. It's all in good fun.
And then returning is this the third or fourth time you're back, Megan? I lose count now.
Third? I think
Third time? That Valkyrie girl, Megan, how are you?
I am good.
So I believe that today we are talking about Star Trek, and we've got the biggest Star Trek nerd of them all. What?
What am I, mashed potatoes? I don't get a.
What, you don't want me to
Well,
introduce
no,
you?
you are.
Okay, so there we go, Jeff. So I was going to introduce you, but I guess I won't. So just, you know who he is.
You know who I am. That's right. Hi, everybody. How are you? It's good to see you both again with us here. Never mind the JS is echoing. JS, apparently you're echoing.
I'm echoing. Jess is echoing. That's weird.
In Instagram.
On Instagram. I wonder why
Apparently.
that would be.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Stay tuned, folks. We're still doing some. Is JS the only one echoing?
Yeah, am I the only one echoing on Instagram?
Testing. Am I echoing Instagram? Testing.
It's good now.
It's good now. Okay, good.
Says good now.
All right.
Dorkside's on it. Dorkside's our official sound engineer.
There you
Dorkside's
go.
all over
Sound check.
Yeah. Corey, mashed potatoes with new Crocs coming. Yeah, there
All
are.
good now, JS. Thank you very
Yes.
much, Mr. Michael.
Perfect.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
listen, we're all into Trek. We've all talked about Trek before. Although Megan, I don't know if you've ever met Tim, and Tim, I don't know if you've ever met Megan. I think Megan, you were on with Debbie when we talked Trek last time, and actually, Tim, I think you were on with Debbie as well. No, it was just us
There we
three.
go. See, we're both
Last
talking
time.
with Debbie. It's good.
Either way, for those of us, or for those watching, I should say, that maybe haven't seen the other Trek episodes, I'm going to give you guys a very quick minute. And I have very, very simple questions for you. What was the first thing Trek that you've ever watched? And what's your favorite Trek thing? Series, movies? Who wants to start?
Well, I can tell you what Megan's least favorite Trek thing is.
Okay.
Yes, I know. Why did I? Cool. It's been fun. Bye, guys.
Okay, Megan, how about you start?
We'll get to that.
Okay, so first thing I ever watched was the first season of Next Gen.
Yep.
Because I was told not to start with original series because it was cheesy and I probably wouldn't like it. So I started with Next Gen, and then after I finished one season and was like, cool, I like this, I went back and watched all of original series and did also still like it. So, was good. Did enjoy. And then from there, I just went chronologically with when they came out. So have seen.
And what's your
everything
favorite?
except for the very end of Lower Decks and
yes.
Prodigy? Is that the other one?
Yeah, Prodigy.
Yeah, I haven't watched Prodigy
Yeah.
either yet.
I might be
Tim,
the
you've
only one
watched
here.
it. Apparently,
I've
it's really
watched-
good, isn't it?
I watched a bit. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's definitely not meant for adults. It's meant for
Yeah.
kids, but they make it in a way that, you know, if you're a Trek fan and an adult watching it with your kid, there's a whole lot for you. If
Yeah,
you know,
it's
but
packed
again,
with
it's not
Easter
made-
eggs and characters you know, and
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, like all kinds of stuff that is actually, you know, part of the canon now and everything. It's like official stuff, you know, and they're telling stories that you won't get elsewhere. And these are stories that I assume at some point will converge with actual like IRL, like kind of real life video kind of actual shot.
Yeah, those
these characters in live action at some point. Personally,
yeah, they're gonna cross over at some point into bigger media. I mean, I feel like everything that Star Trek has done has spawned something else, and so on and so forth. So for sure. So Tim, your first Trek thing that you've ever watched, and what is your favorite Trek thing?
First Trek thing I've ever watched is probably Encounter at Farpoint, but when it actually aired back in the days, I barely remember it. You know, I remember my brother was watching it and I was watching it with him, and we just like watched it ever since then. And then, you know, of course, like went back and watched original series and everything, consumed everything Trek that you could all the way through. You know, I would say like in the old school, like kind of golden age of Star Trek, my favorite Trek would probably be Next Generation, but then there's, you know, special places in my heart for Voyager and Deep Space Nine. But and what I would almost refer to now as the platinum age of Star Trek, I think like now, maybe a week or two ago, I would have said Discovery was my favorite, but I mean, Strange New Worlds is just one of the best things I've seen in a long time. It's hard to say. I think I chatted you guys that earlier. I'm like, guys, I'm thinking about it. It might be. Wait a minute. I think, you know, I think this might be it. You know. And really
we're actually going to talk about Strange New Worlds further in, but yeah, I agree. Strange New Worlds.
Sure, we'll come. Yeah, of course, we'll come back to that. But that's it for me.
Yeah, Jeff. I mean, well, how about you? Yeah, you tell me first of all what you started with. What was the first thing that you watched that was Trek media?
Well, I'm like,
I think I know your favorite already, but
well, maybe I don't know. I'm like you. I'm a child of the early 70s. So Star Trek, the original series, was in, you know, syndication at that point. Like we only had 12 channels, but Star Trek was pretty much always playing on one of them at some point. And my dad liked it enough, you know, in between episodes of MASH and Monday Night Football, we would watch Star Trek. So yeah, that was my first exposure to it, was the original series. But my favorite Trek, probably Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. I'm not going to lie. I know we're mostly talking about the TV properties, but that movie was such a turning point for me. That movie was what solidified my love of Trek, and I've seen it so many times I could quote it verbatim, start to finish. So,
same. But you know, I'm not same, but I mean, you know, same thing. Growing up in the 70s and 80s, original series would play, in my case, on CBC on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Now I was too young to really remember a lot of the stories from back then. I remember the stories from rewatching it. I don't remember the stories from watching them back then because I was too young. But that's what first introduced me to Trek. But really what got me was The Next Generation, because I was a teenager. I guess I would have been 16 when... No, I would have been younger than that, actually. I would have been way younger. I would have been a preteen when Next Gen came out. So that's what really connected with me as far as Star Trek. That launched me into being a Trekkie. First Contact.
Oh boy,
is my favorite of all Trek things, especially the new Enterprise. God, that Enterprise E was amazing. The new Enterprise from Strange New Worlds. Holy crap!
Yeah, we can't even. I can't.
Like,
it's hard to look at it. It's so beautiful.
So, all right, let's move on quickly because there's been a lot of Trek. Now, I know we haven't really had a chance to chat Discovery, and I'm gonna say it right away. We're not all gonna agree here tonight, right? Right off the bat, we know that me and Tim very much disagree on Discovery.
Well, three of us are
Tim's
going to agree.
All right, let's get ready now.
Three of us are going to agree. Fine. One of us is not.
But I mean, I feel like Trek. I mean, that's what Trek has been. I feel like nobody really. Trek has meant different things to different people. And I feel like almost everybody has a different view of what they feel Trek should feel and be like. And some series they'll love, some movies they'll think are great, other things they will hate. I like the J.J. Abrams movies. You know, I know a lot of people that can't stand them. I know Tim's not a big fan of the J.J. Abrams movies.
They're fun action movies. Featuring Star Trek properties. That's what I.
Well, there you go. Right, so we're not all going to have the same points of view. So let's start it off there, and I hope tonight everybody understands that if we get into some friendly arguments, they are friendly arguments. We're not here to, go at each other. But Discovery Season 4.
Are they friendly though?
So, well, we'll see. Me and you, Jeff.
I have a stress
I don't know.
ball in each hand right now. My hands are off screen. Just so you know.
Just working away like he's going to talk about Discovery.
Well, let's start there. I don't want to spend the whole show talking about Discovery because I do want to talk about Picard and Strange New Worlds. But what were you guys' initial thoughts? I mean, Tim, I know you loved it. Might as well start with you. I mean, you've loved it throughout. All 4 seasons,
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of like the first episode, like the first half or first couple episodes, I felt like that pilot was a little rough, and I feel like it could have brought in. I mean, as you know, comparing it to Strange New Worlds, obviously we'll come back to that. But like the pilot of that, I've never heard a single negative thing about it. But Discovery, like it's working some stuff out.
Mhm.
But that being said, I think it's like miles and worlds better than the J.J. Abrams movies as far as being a Star Trek thing. Anyway, I did very much enjoy Discovery, and I feel like a lot of it resonated with me on a lot of levels, like a lot of the, I guess, like the political points that they were trying to make in the subtext, and a lot of the different kind of how deep they went on some of these storylines. And you guys know how long these story arcs were and stuff like that, and how much of a fan I am of that, especially in Star Trek. Like some of my favorite episodes back in the days were ones where they stretched out a story more than a couple episodes, like they did that in Voyager and TNG and Deep Space Nine, obviously a few times, and those are always my favorites. But I enjoyed it. Yeah, I liked it. And the finale just blew my mind. Obviously, I was very, very happy with that one.
yeah. Well, I want to talk about that as well. The finale, Megan.
I'll say I was on the fence how they ended season 3. They lost me a little bit in the last couple of episodes, but I really liked what they did in season 4 right up until like the last 10 minutes. If the last 10 minutes had been slightly different, I would have been like 10 out of 10, got there. I'm still like 8.5 out of 10, but like, no, it was good. I enjoyed it as a whole. Endings are hard.
Endings are hard.
No question.
Jeff.
Yeah, that season 3 ending. Yeah, same. It didn't derail the whole show for me because I love Discovery so much. But man, that kid gets angry and blows up all the ships. And yeah, it was very. And I applaud them because I feel like they did the same thing with the ending of season 4. Like Species. What is it? Not B10. What were they called?
Oh boy.
I don't remember what they were called.
Is it C10?
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think we were all expecting it was going to be someone that we'd seen before, and it wasn't. They took a chance, and they had this brand new species that communicates in this brand new way, and that's who the ultimate big bad was. And they weren't even trying to be bad. They were just trying to, live basically. Like that to me is the essence, the essence of Trek. Even though my favorite Trek is a mustache twirling, popcorn eating bad guy, the Tensi. Even though like with Khan and everything else, the essence of Trek, like the crystalline entity, like all of these bad guys that aren't really bad guys. Just he meant space is weird, and there's weird shit out in space, and we're going to run into it, and we're not always going to jibe because they're more weird than we're weird, and our weirds don't match up. So
they're going to be conflicting things. Yeah.
So that to me was such a great way to bring it back to, for what I think is really what Star Trek is all about, is not just good guy, bad guy, but shades of gray, and how are we going to find the moral ground on this so that we can come together. Yeah, that to me was more important. So
I totally agree.
Oh yeah,
totally
that was amazing.
JS, you came around a little bit on season 4. I know
yeah,
you
because
abandoned it, and then you kind of came back.
Okay, so I'm going to be 100% honest. It took me 3 attempts to get through season 4. The first half of this season was dreadful. The first half of the season, episode after episode of cringy dialogue, and
hold back. Tell us how you really feel, buddy.
Look, I was having a really, really hard time getting through it. The last few episodes, when they go from now what do we do, right? When they start having meetings at Starfleet headquarters about what do we do, and then it's splitting into Book wanting to go do his thing and Burnham wanting to go do her. That's when the story really started getting interesting for me, anyway. I'm with you, Jeff. I really, really liked the ending and the fact that finally it was something more than a kid screaming, a mirror universe. You know what I mean? It was a proper something new. it gave me vibes, funny enough, of Encounter at Farpoint.
Yep.
So I loved how they ended it myself.
Almost like motion picture, sort of.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that. I think that for me kind of redeemed a little bit season 3, even though I don't understand why they have to. Somebody has to fix their dialogue. The stories are getting better. The dialogue needs to be fixed. Picard suffered a little bit from the same issue, especially towards. There's a couple of episodes where it's like, oh my god, like what are you guys thinking, right? Like this, like yeah. But overall, Picard got it a little bit better, and I feel like Strange New World now is hitting its stride. I don't know if they're the same writing team. Do you guys know? Are they the same?
I guess it's not, but I don't know.
Yeah, I have a feeling it might be the same production house, but different writers.
So do you want to segue that then to everybody's thoughts and feelings on
yes, Picard season 2, yes.
Season 2 and how
yes,
that ended?
Thank you, that's where I was going, yes.
I kind of figured. I got you, brother. I got you.
Yes.
Megan, start us off. What did you think of the end of season 2 of Captain Picard and his amazing friends?
Okay, so as soon as I saw the preview for when season 2 was starting, and I knew they were going to have Q, I was 100% on board. He is my favorite character.
Yeah, same.
I was so ready. And I was really excited with the route that they took it. I was worried for a little while what they were kind of going to do with him, because it seemed like they were like diving him off the deep end of just making him insane.
Yeah.
So, like, he's always a little insane, but it seemed like they were going like right in. And I'm glad that they didn't do that. I like the way that it was. He was trying to help in his stupid, destructive way, but he wanted to help.
And did you feel it ended satisfactorily for you as far as the arcs go?
I loved how they ended it. I love the interactions between the characters at the end. I love how they wrapped it up. I think they made good choices for the motivations that each character had. And I think the way that they pulled it together at the very end, that you still have most of the main cast, was like most.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about. There's been some news since then, so we'll talk about that. But what do you think, Tim? Were you satisfied with the ending?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys. You guys know I've been complaining to you guys pretty much the entire season about Picard and how unhappy I was for various reasons, and from everything to the whole being sent back in time to what's conveniently modern day for the audience, to me is always just like a frustrating kind of cop out, like production wise. I think it's like, yeah, maybe parts of it's clever, but part of me wonders if it's like a cheap production move, like, you know, to cut costs or something, like let's film like on actual blocks and put up a couple of street signs that change things up, and instead of but no, in all seriousness, I didn't really care for a lot of it. I thought that, you know, they were changing Q a little too much just to make him something spicy for this season. I didn't like a lot of the dialogue. I didn't like what they were doing with the Borg stuff and everything. But that episode with, if you guys watch Battlestar, you know, Gaius Baltar as his father, one where you like get like kind of a little bit of background on his father and the difference between his father and his mother and everything like that. That is kind of when it started to turn around for me. And then it dipped down again with the bad action with the like Borg, like hit squad stuff was pretty lame to me. But that final episode was just like, specifically that second half of the final episode just knocked me out. I was just from when, you know, what's her name was like watching the ship go, or having her moment with Renee in the locker room, to everything after that was like really great to me. And it kind of redeemed the entire season in some ways.
JS?
I loved season 2 of Picard. Way better than season 1, I thought. I had a little bit of the same cringy dialogue issues that I had with Discovery in this season. But the ending. I mean, I'm with Megan. So Q's been one of my all-time favorite villains. You know, and I'm talking specifically John Delancey Q. You've had other Qs that were okay. John Delancey Q is Q to me. The fact that they brought him back, like you, Megan, the minute they announced it, I was 100% on board. That was the only thing I cared about, was Q's back in Picard season 2. I like what they did with Guinan. The young Guinan was okay, but I like how they brought her back. That she was a part of the show. She was a big part of the show, surprisingly. Even though Whoopi herself was only in 2 episodes, shortly for a couple minutes, which was fine. Not a massive Whoopi Goldberg fan, but it was nice what they did to that character. But the ending. Can we spoil? I mean, can we spoil it? I mean, I'm assuming everybody's. I mean,
if you
it's.
haven't seen it by now, you should really.
Yeah, 2 weeks now. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you're not a Star Trek fan. When when Q grabs Picard's face.
Where's my tissue?
Yeah,
Whew.
yeah,
The
yeah,
emotions.
yeah.
It was something else, man. That was
Yeah,
good. That was
I started bawling. My daughter was looking at me like what's wrong with
Yep.
you? And like, you don't understand.
yeah, you're explaining it. You're like, no, you gotta come back to counter at bar point.
Oh yeah. It was it was really for me, and I said this in the video that I filmed, it was really a 30-year story arc for me that they were saying, this is it. Next Generation is now over for me. I'm not even sure I care about the next season of Picard. This ended it for me. This actually ended the story for me. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully the next season's fun. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this. Actually, you know what? Before we move on to the Borg, maybe Jeff, you can give us your thoughts.
Oh, that's some great stuff.
Yeah. So, well, here's the problem. Yeah, it's some great stuff, but so I'll give you my thoughts really quickly. Yes, I too was a fan of season 2 of Picard. I thought thematically it was a lot more focused than season 1 was. Season 1 seemed like throwing spaghetti at the wall, and just whatever stuck was great. Whatever fell off. It seemed like they had a more concise focus on what the story they wanted to tell. Did they knock it out of the park every episode in telling that story? No. But they did make sure to tie up sort of all the loose ends. They even brought it all the way back, like something that happened at the very first scene of episode 1 is kind of like how they capped the end of the last episode there. And yeah, obviously all the Q and Picard stuff is fantastic. I feel kind of bad that Patrick Stewart was one of those guys where they made jokes for years about how he was ageless and timeless. For like 20 years, the dude looked exactly the same. And then, no slight, man. No, I'm getting old myself. I get it. This has died. Like, this is all gray and bullshit. But it just seemed like, as far as his physical youth and stamina goes, it just fell off a cliff like really fast. And now I don't feel bad, but it's just weird that they have him on this show that should probably be like a deep, introspective character study of Jean-Luc Picard, and it's really been more like a knockdown, drag out action story through both seasons. Was frustrating to me for some of it. When it really could and shouldn't be. He's an elder statesman now, so let's just have an exploration, and that's
they tried to do that
a little bit, but I feel like not enough. Like, as soon as the time travel element was introduced, and there's this alternate timeline, multiverse and alternate timeline so hot right now, I'm like, this is not, I know exactly where all this is going to go, and that's exactly where it went. The twist with Q at the end was kind of cool, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's hopefully season 3 bringing back the original cast. Then I'm hoping we get an opportunity for more of that exploration. So the news coming out of the Trek world is that 4 separate cast members from season 2 will not be back for season 3. Probably.
But we know Rios won't be back.
Rios is not going to be back, which makes sense.
Corey, she's gone with Will now. Not with Will, sorry, with Wesley.
With Wesley.
Fine.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Elnor, even though he came back in the final episode, will not be back for season 3. No. So all that all makes sense.
Yeah.
Jurati, the Borg Queen, is not appearing in season 3.
Wait, so season 3 is not going to deal with the fact that there's a big giant wormhole in space with the Borg,
the Borg are like
massive complex watching it?
I guess you'll probably see them, or maybe they'll have like the Borg Queen character with that helmet on. But she said specifically she will be watching with everybody else. She is not.
The actress herself is not going to be in season 3.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Well, that.
What? Oh,
sorry. Yeah, I mean that. That's okay with me. It doesn't matter. I mean, like, it doesn't mean that the Borg are out of play. We've seen multiple queens in a single season, so it doesn't sweat me.
I mean,
weird decision thematically, so I don't know.
Yeah.
How they're going to weave all that in. But I mean,
I mean, you
There you
can't.
are.
I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they introduce a new faction of the Borg. Okay,
Yeah, it's
you know what? Let's
interesting.
talk about that for a quick second. So first of all, if Girardi now took over the Borgs, if Girardi took over the Borg 900 years
Borgses.
ago. The Borgses 900 years ago. Does that mean that there are no more regular Borgs? What does that mean for Locutus? Was Picard still assimilated? Why is Seven still a Borg?
My theory is that like somehow them going through all that stuff, like I guess just in their logic and the logic of the universe, that they're able to retain those memories, that it doesn't wipe those memories, but it did change the rest of the timelines, I'm certain, to where there
It
was
had
no
to, right?
yeah.
well,
like,
that's
so-
the, that's
I don't think so.
yeah,
think so?
that's the burning question. Are there still Borg in the Delta Quadrant? And so there are now two completely distinct factions of Borg: the Borg we know and hate in the Delta Quadrant,
Oh, so
and now
like maybe
these.
maybe she was a part of a faction that we just didn't see, and they were like in hiding until this point.
Yeah, so they hid away so that the other Borg wouldn't find them, and
Or I mean, no. Like in this particular timeline, you know what I'm saying? Like because she goes back, they go back 400 years, but 400 years ago they're in the Alpha Quadrant, and she starts basically by herself a new collective in the
Correct.
Alpha Quadrant and builds with all these races. Well, 400 years ago, the regular Borg are still in the Delta Quadrant.
But she was
Yeah,
heading
like
to
it's
the
a
Delta
two
Quadrant,
separate
wasn't she?
sections.
I don't
thought
know.
she
Was
was
she
heading
heading to the Delta
I
Quadrant?
thought she said that she was going to head to the Delta
Oh,
Quadrant.
okay. So maybe there is
Maybe I'm
a
mistaken.
melding of all of them then, and maybe it is just one giant collective now. I don't know. I just thought it would have been cool if there were two
I don't think
distinct
so. I do
Borg
think it's
collectives.
That would be
two
cool.
separate ones.
Yeah.
Because the very first episode, the way it started off before they went back was with her showing up.
Right.
So it had to have been something that already happened within like their universe
Right, it did happen.
or time travel.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those weird paradoxical things where
yeah, where she shows up before it happens. Yeah,
I honestly do think that this was them straight up rebooting the Borg and redefining what the Borg are. I honestly believe that we're not going to see the old school kind of mindless Borg with like a
It's
different
shame.
queen that's
Oh.
going to compete with this queen. I just don't. I assume that, but
yeah, no.
Yeah.
unless
I would say,
somehow
yeah,
there
I
was
don't
like
think
some
that they'll-
Borg shielded from temporal stuff that could be an interesting storyline down the line. That like maybe somehow there were Borg that are still operating off of the old Borg 1.0 programming instead of like this new one or something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I could go for some
All
Borg on
interesting.
Borg War. Yeah, for sure.
It's interesting.
I was gonna say, I don't think. Yeah, I think you're right that they won't have the Borg that were in like previous shows and previous series anymore. But that's also more so just based with them in season 1. Like I think there's like they've gone down to the thing of there's so few Borg. Either they're like too far away or they're avoiding them or whatever. And especially since they have this new faction now, I just think story-wise they've probably written them off.
Mm.
Probably.
Yeah, I think like
Anywho.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. You're good, Tim. Go ahead.
I was gonna say for me, like the three coolest takeaways from Picard that make it worth it, despite all the bad episodes for me, are the Q stuff, obviously, and getting to really see how deep that connection is, and how it goes both ways. Like in hindsight, like when Picard hugged him back, that was also like another beautiful moment, and Q obviously didn't expect that. So that was great. The stuff about Picard not being able to ever love anybody because anybody he like tried to love and tried to help out, like the last person he did was his mother, and all that stuff happened with her. So that was a really interesting thing behind his whole psychology that he didn't even like realize. And then of course the reinventing of the Borg. So those three things for me made this season worth it, even though all the bad dialogue, all the other nonsense and whatever. That
Okay.
made it worth it for me.
Spoiler, by the way, guys, even though we've already talked about it. Holy shit, in episode 9, his mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really
if
devastating.
you back in 87, back in the 70s, back in even the 90s or the aughts, if you'd have told me there would be a scene in a Star Trek movie where someone hangs himself and you see it, I would have said there's no way you're ever going to see that on a Star Trek
And that
show.
the one sort of not really responsible, but sort of responsible, or the one that finds them is their
protagonist.
child.
Yeah,
And then again you go back and you look at, just like with Q's relationship with Picard, you go back and you look at the whole relationship and how all the messed up stuff he did to him, he really did love him. And then you go back and you look at Picard's whole like history of being cold as hell, except for a couple people here and there, like Guinan and Vaj and
Beverly.
the Women in Insurrection and stuff here and
Yeah,
there. that like it just clicks so well.
Oh,
with
it
his
does.
Character. It's like
Yeah.
it knocked me out. I was just
I thought it would be something that they alluded to. I didn't know he would open a door and we would see like her feet swinging
Yeah.
from the rope. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's really in your face. Like I
Yeah.
get why, I understand, but I mean, it really kind of jolted me out of it when they showed it to me right on the screen. I thought it would be something that would be alluded to. This door would open, you would see his face and his face would crumble, and then the next shot would be like the coffin. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think it would be, oh, there's his dead mother
Full
hanging
shot.
from the rope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I agree.
whoa. Oof.
They were direct.
Yes. Yeah, they wanted no misunderstanding of what happened to Mrs. Picard.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to Q for a quick minute, guys. There's two things that happened in the series that makes me think that Q was in fact the last Q. Him dying was the last Q dying off, and that the Q continuum no longer exists. For one, when Guinan summons the Q and nobody comes, and you find out later Q saying, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm having issues with my powers. I had to walk here." Tells me that, well, if he was that far away, why would other Q not show up? And at the end, when he tells Picard that he's dying alone
Yeah.
and that he doesn't want that for him, Q has a wife and a kid, or he did anyway.
Well, he has
if
a
he's-
kid. We don't know if he had a wife, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Did have a kid,
he
though.
does. Remember that female Q in Voyager? She's who he has the kid with, right?
Yes.
Well, whether she's his
Yes,
wife or
you're
not,
right.
you're right.
You're
I don't know.
He did have the kid
Yeah.
with her. Yeah.
But he
Well,
did
we
have
call
a
him-
mate, let's say.
Mother
So
of-
him dying alone tells me that that's it. There are no more Q. He's the last of the Q. What do you guys like? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. Great question.
He certainly doesn't
Yeah.
refer to the continuum at all at any
No.
point in season 2 of Picard.
No.
And yet, in every other appearance he had, at least on The Next Generation, he endlessly talks about the continuum. So yeah, that's not bad. Usually, I take great pleasure in pooping on your theories, but you know what? I think this is a good catch on you, my friend. I think
I
this.
knew
not
I'd get
bad,
you
French
one
guy.
day.
I,
I
Not
knew I'd
bad.
get you one day.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I like to think it's either that or they are, so gone and so far away in some other like realm that even that like bottle opening thing didn't work. So like they either have abandoned him or they are all dead. Either way, it's a pretty bleak, statement he made.
You're right. We don't know whether he's actually dying. You're correct. I mean, at one point he even says that he thinks he's evolving to whatever the next thing is.
Yeah, because we don't see him die.
So we don't see him die. We don't know that he's dead. Correct. You know what? You're right.
But yeah, that is interesting. That there's no other mention of any of the Qs. The continuum's never brought up. Yeah, solid theory, JS. Solid, man. I'm proud of you on this one. Good.
Something to think about and go to sleep on.
Had to happen sooner or later. That's way better than your ET is a Jedi bullshit. I'll tell you that.
But
right
AT
now. That's
is a
great.
Jedi, dude. The ETs are in Star Wars. I mean, I don't know how you can refute that.
Theoretically, there might be a Jedi ET at some point. Right?
Kids, go back and watch our
What are they
conspiracy
called? Somebody's
theory
gotta know what they're called, right?
episode.
We don't know what they're called. You're
no,
right.
I don't think they're
but-
ever named.
Yeah.
They put an Easter egg in one of the prequels, and JS has ran with it.
And talking about Easter eggs, I mean, I guess it wasn't so much an Easter egg as much as a cameo, but Wesley Crusher. Shut up, Wesley. He's back.
Oh, man.
So Wesley shows up at, I don't know, the 2/3 point of the last episode. And he just shows up. And he tells Corey, hey,
Yep.
I'm a traveler. How about you come and travel with me? And she's okay. And they leave. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What was that about? Like, I didn't understand. Like, if you're going to bring Wesley back, why? I in my mind, I thought Wesley was going to come back because there were rumors he was coming back. But I thought he was going to come back and save the day. He was going to come back and be the one to take them back to the future. After the Borg Queen left with their ship and they're stuck there, I didn't think it was Q that was going to send them back. I thought it was Wesley that was going to come and take him back. But no. He just goes, finds Corey. Hey, let's go. Okay. And they're gone. And now Corey's gone. She's done.
Yeah.
That was her last scene in all of Star Trek.
It was weird. It was like all just for fans to see Wesley. That's all.
Yeah, I was
I mean,
gonna
that's all it
say
was, really.
I didn't think that they would get him back at all from how he is about Star Trek now. I'm like, I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm impressed that they managed to get him to come back to do a scene. And if they're gonna try and take out a character, that's a fun fan servicey way to do it.
I was here for it. It's pure fan service. But again, if we're going to start complaining about fan service, let's not talk Marvel, because that's all they've been doing lately. So I mean, sometimes fan service is okay. There's a reason why we're fans and we want to see our favorites. And if they found a way to shoehorn them in there for 5 minutes,
well, I don't think Moon Knight is not fan service. I thought that was great, but we can save that for another time. I know we all got to, some of us have different thoughts on that.
We will definitely save that for another time, because boy howdy, do I have thoughts and feelings on that. I hated with anyways. Yeah, so sometimes fan service works. Did this work like a 10 out of 10 brilliantly? Like, did this work the same way Riker and Troy worked in season 1? No, of course it did not. Would it have been the same? I guess it depends on your love of the character. Universally, if Wesley Crusher isn't one of the least liked TNG characters, I don't know who else would be. Maybe Alexander. I don't know. But I mean, kids on that show sucked, and Wesley was one of those kids that sucked. And
well, Alexander wasn't on TNG for very long, right? He was only in a couple episodes before he moved over to DS9.
He was on enough of the episodes that people did not dig that kid. So it's
fair enough.
And then same thing.
It messed with Worf in a way, like, you know, I mean, that is how kids are. He was very much like a kid
100%
at that age. So like, of course, people are going to be frustrated that saddled with them.
Yeah. But not like the same as Wesley. I feel like Wesley wore a lot of shit, and I probably don't blame Will Wheaton a whole lot for wanting to create some distance from the character and such. But hey, man,
no.
I know he's doing that web show or whatever, the Ready Room it's called, and he's doing exclusive interviews with cast and crew from the various different treks. So clearly he's involved with Paramount and with the production. So it makes what's it going to take, a 5-minute walk on the set for him to use some lines and then they book? I'm good with it. I'm down. I think I would have been a little more upset if they had done something more plot heavy with him. I like the fact that it was just this little thing in its own little microcosm and then he was gone. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But
we've got some comments here, guys. Friendly Canadian Geek Pool. Soon started the Khan family, ? No. So Khan is Khan Noonien Singh. The Sungs are Data's creators' family. Sungs and Sings, they're different names.
No, I know, but I think he's referring to the scene in season 10 of Picard where Spiner has lost everything, Sung has lost everything, and he pulls out the folder and it says the Khan Project.
Well, yes, well, that makes sense. Yes, I think that makes more sense.
He clearly
You're right.
started the eugenics wars, is likely, which has been alluded to a bunch of times in Trek, but never really. It was kind of like the Clone Wars for Star Trek, right? They talk about it all the time, but we've never really seen it. We just know that Khan was a product of the eugenics wars. But
maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but I thought when Brent Spiner appeared during some of the like eugenics con stuff in Enterprise, wasn't his name like, I thought that they hinted that he was. I thought that they hinted that he was related to Sung, that the Sings were related to the Sung.
I think it's that Noonien in between, because it's Khan Noonien Singh.
Yeah, and I guess it was just namesake.
And it's Noonien Sung, right? So it's I think it's just that name little drop there. But that might be a good segue to Strange New Worlds because
Strange New Worlds.
One of my favorite characters.
That new lieutenant, that new security chief on there, her name is Noonien Singh. So that's
it is. So she is.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Family.
Yeah. So do we want to segue over? Do we want to start talking about Strange New Worlds? Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Because I have thoughts and feelings.
Well, go ahead. Start there. Thoughts and feelings. So let's start with our initial thoughts, and then we can dig into some of the specific details we want to talk about. Does that work?
Yeah.
So initial thoughts on Strange New Worlds after 2 episodes.
I don't want to get too hyped. And it's really hard not to get too hyped.
2 episodes.
I know, and that's why I don't want to get too hyped, because some shows have started out amazing and then fallen right off a cliff, and that could still happen here. But for what we're getting, I feel like this is kind of not what we were promised Discovery would be, but more akin to what I thought Discovery would be, which would be an in-canon show where we would get lots of winks and nudges to just before the Enterprise with Kirk and Spock and McCoy and the because I think Discovery originally was 10 years beforehand. And in fact, we get the Enterprise in Discovery. That's how we first even meet all these characters, is on Discovery.
It's the same time frame. Yes, exact same time frame.
So that's, I think, in my mind, what I initially wanted from Discovery. And then when Discovery became its own thing, I was like, you know what? I love this. This is super cool. I like what they're doing. But now that we're getting Strange New Worlds, and it's like he does the speech at the beginning during the credits. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Like I was watching it today, and he started to say "Space the Flight of and I'm choking up while he's saying it. It's not even William Shatner. It's Anson Mount. But I mean, and the ship, and it's gorgeous. And I don't have enough love for the first 2 episodes so far. If they can keep this high bar going, this has a shot to be the best of the Treks. So. Anyway, that's me all geeking out. What do you guys think of it so far?
That.
All
yes.
of that?
Just yes. Lots of yes.
You don't want to elaborate on any of that, Megan? You're good with that?
Well, I will attempt a couple of words, but it's such a good combination, because I love like Next Gen and OG Trek and like the stories and the way they did that. And having that storytelling and that sort of like nostalgia type of show, but like with modern film things, it's so good.
Tim?
Yeah, I agree.
On board.
Well, it's
sold, set.
It's a great show. I think, like, kind of like what you said, it was what the Star Trek we were kind of led to believe Discovery was kind of going to be. Kind of also what I thought Enterprise was going to make us feel and be good like. And Enterprise just completely was not that in any way. Anyway, not to completely dump on Enterprise, but it wasn't very good. But Strange New Worlds it's pretty amazing so far. And I think, even though you can't like say right now that it's the best Trek show ever, you can at least compare these first 2 episodes to the first 2 episodes of any of the other Treks, right? So, that's why like when everybody or when a lot of people were negative about like parts of Discovery, I was like, well, think about the first couple seasons or the first few seasons of TNG, like, and how many of those episodes were like so versus like amazing and stuff, and like try and think about it in the context of the time versus this, that, and the other, whatever. But man, Strange New Worlds just really it checks all the boxes in every way. Every single, you could pause any moment, and like if there's anything written on a panel or anything anywhere, it's like filled with Easter eggs and great stuff. Just every character, you feel like you know them from the start, even though you don't really know them, and every tiny bit of dialogue they get makes you like. Everybody shines in it, even though it's an ensemble cast. And, obviously Pike is great. It's good to see him in more than, just a few episodes. It's good to see him like full on and everything. And obviously the Enterprise is gorgeous, and seeing how they're able to do this like episodic thing while still keeping the whole like chain going and stuff. It's great. Like you get the best of both worlds, and it's pretty perfect so far. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be the greatest.
Yep.
JS.
It's so good. Listen, it all works for me. The uniforms work for me. The intro. I love the intro. The intro's gorgeous. The theme song, I'm sure, give me like 4 or 5 episodes and I'll be singing the theme song. Well, I won't be singing it, but humming it or whatnot as it'll be playing. The acting has been amazing. Acting's been amazing. Anson Mount makes me want to be Captain Pike.
Dope.
Anson Mount is dope as Pike. He's just got it. I love that line in episode 2. He's like, I love this job. Like he's just so cool. Story-wise so far, I love that they're going back to the episodic format. I feel like if you have a couple bad episodes in an episodic format, it's not that big of a deal. There were a couple of bad episodes. The rest of the season can be very good. In a season-long arc, you've got a couple episodes that fuck up your story. Then your story's screwed up. Then you've got a kid screaming and all the ships are blowing up. You know what I mean? So, it's a very fine line that they're writing, but they're just surfing that wave, and it just works. Rebecca Romaine. I don't know how they got her to come back for a full show, but I'm so happy she's back because she's amazing as Una. I'm liking Spock. Listen, it all works. It all works for me. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just two real quick things I want to mention. One, I like how they're now doing like Marvel and Disney and whatever Star Wars. They had the little opening, the little opening scroll Enterprise that says it's a Star Trek thing or whatever. They have their own little opening logo. Fantastic move, great branding. And we all know that ship. We all know that symbol. Classic.
Hopefully they keep that for everything Star Trek.
I think that's what it is. I think it's going to be like the intro for Mando and Boba and everything else. And two, and this is more sort of going off the conversation that we had with Tim a couple of months ago. I feel like both the Discovery cast and now the Strange New World cast both are clearly celebrating diversity, and I'm here for it, and it's great. I feel like the Strange New Worlds cast, though, it seems less. Forced is the wrong word to use. It seems like a more natural fit, because I've seen a few people saying like it's a bridge crew full of women. I'm like, so what difference does that make? Like,
who cares?
Who cares? And you've got, I mean, it's because it's classic Trek. It is still mostly humans. You're not having like a cat and a dog sitting on the bridge or whatever. But it's still like the diversity is enough that we're getting a broad range and a broad spectrum of people, shapes, sizes, colors, and everything else. But it all just nothing feels like, well, we're just shoehorning this character in for diversity's sake. Everybody's nailing their roles. Everybody's acting so well. None of the dialogue seems contrived or serving that agenda or anything. It's what we talked about diversity should be, which should be just like a natural. People of different races and colors and genders work together all the time, every day. So let's just do that. And they did it. And I feel like even though 2 episodes in, they're killing it in that regard. I think, personally.
They are, because everybody's getting their chance to shine. Everybody's getting their chance to have a little bit of the story. Uhura had a big part of this last episode, but so did Samuel Kirk, which was funny because we only ever saw him once before, dead. Let's be honest. We never even saw Samuel Kirk alive before. So we're going to forget about the fact that it's supposed to be Shatner in a mustache. But everybody seems to be getting their little piece of the pie. It's not just Captain Pike saving the day every time.
Right.
You know, you're actually are getting to know the bridge crew, which I still can't name you the bridge crew of the Discovery.
Oh, that's because you hate it.
But I'm serious though, Jeff. I know Detmer. Obviously Tilly's gone. Okoye. She had a good episode. She had a really good episode, actually. I love she. I love what they did with her in season 4 of Discovery. She was the one character I felt that actually evolved.
Yeah.
Book I felt like digressed, at least until the end, where finally he's like Book again. Anyway, we're talking about Strange New Worlds, not Discovery. Sorry, folks. Strange New Worlds. Okay, so we all gave our thoughts. I want to talk about the ship. So I'm the kind of guy that likes canon and that feels okay. I'll explain you what I mean. When DS9 went back into the past and they met Kirk's Enterprise, it was Kirk's Enterprise, and they CG'd them onto Kirk. That was amazing. I loved that. Now it's a brand new Enterprise. It's way more modern. It's massive. The bridge is way bigger. Sick bay is way bigger. The captain's quarters has a friggin' fireplace in it. I mean, it's just massive.
It's got a dope pad.
Wow, it's freaking gorgeous. It's not all that different from the original Enterprise from the exterior. It's got all the same cues, but man, is it gorgeous. The way they light it, the way that they design it.
And little things like his chair. The captain's chair is still the captain's chair.
It's still the captain's chair,
so
yes.
Little nods, little nuggets that are like, okay, I see what you're doing. That's
the
cool.
consoles, like Uhura's console, was still shaped like Uhura's console was shaped.
Yeah.
It's just more modern.
Yeah, Spock still has like
Spock still has the
view.
thing. Yeah. So
little hints like that are nice.
Yeah. So I don't. These are the type of things I would typically complain about, and be like, this is like, why are you redoing this? Why are you messing with something that was? No, listen, this is so well done, and it looks so good, and it's so badass. I don't have a problem with any of it.
That
Bring it
gold
on.
deflector dish in the
It's
front of the ship.
amazing.
The red twirly nacelles in the back. Come on, man.
It's what they
Oh,
tried
yeah.
to do with the Enterprise. Again, it's what they tried to do with Enterprise. They tried to make it look retro, but with like a modern kind of finish or a modern kind of engineering of a retro design kind of
Enterprise
thing.
missed the mark with the NX-01.
Yeah, it missed the mark. You know, what are you going to do? It happened too soon. They didn't have minds that were equipped to handle it. And so it was what it was. This nails it, like you guys said. It was perfectly retro, but modern and rebooted. It was great.
I think we have to really take some time to remember and thank the fact that we have streaming services now, because we would not be living in this platinum age of Trek without.
Of course.
When all of the other shows came out, you only had one show on at a time. Maybe there'd be a little bit of overlap, like with DS9 Voyager and Next Gen, but you had a network. You typically had one network to air them on. I know they tried a little bit with their own network, UPN or whatever it was, and that. But at the end of the day, we get all this because of the streaming services. I don't think we get Strange New Worlds without the streaming services. We probably got Discovery. We certainly don't get Lower Decks without the streaming services.
And if we even if we got Discovery, it would have been a bad version of it, right? It would have been
It
like
certainly
something that
wouldn't
they would have
be
tried to
this.
make like
No.
25 episodes a season and even worse story arcs, that even worse like dialogue. You know how they do want the network stuff. So,
of course, and lower production values and not as much of a spend and everything else. So everything kind of looks cheesy and everything else, like Enterprise and like some of the network shows looked. But
won't
the
take any
streaming
risks.
has given us that opportunity to be able to enjoy these shows on this level. And man alive, I know people complain about the different streaming services and it's paying the same as cable. Yeah, but you're getting way better.
We're getting Star Wars TV shows. We're getting Marvel TV shows. We're getting Star Trek. We're getting.
Suck
We
it up.
wouldn't be getting any of this stuff if it wasn't.
You're not
for
going to
streaming
save any
services.
money. You're going to spend the same money because you're going to need to have 14 different streaming services, but the product you're getting is so much better than it was before.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to focus on.
Yeah.
Megan, are we keeping you up over there? Is there hearing all the boys talk a lot? Just are we boring you to tears? What's going on?
It's just a thing. No, I went hiking before this, and now I'm just like, I'm sleepy.
Tisk tisk.
I've been sick with COVID for the last 2 weeks, and
have you
I
really?
didn't realize how much that hit my my cardiovascular and like endurance until I left the house to just go on a walk. I'm like, this is harder than I remember.
Our friendly Canadian Geek Pool is asking, what are you looking forward to in the next J.J. Abrams Trek movie? Hey, Tim, what are you looking forward to in the next Kelvin movie?
A short runtime. No, honestly, what I'm looking forward to is hopefully that it's not a Tarantino flick.
It is not.
It's
No.
not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to go further there, I hope they never actually do a Tarantino. Trek.
I would
No,
be
no,
up for a
fair.
Tarantino Trek. I think that could be quite neat. I think Tarantino has the kind of vision on filmmaking that could make something very different from Trek. I've always said Trek needs more diverse type of shows. We need a horror Trek.
I think that that Tarantino is like antithetical to what Star Trek is about. Honestly, as a person, and how like the stuff that he does and writes about sometimes, to me, I think that I feel to me it almost seems sacrilegious. I know that's like an exaggeration, but I don't think he should be touching Star Trek stuff.
I think if it was,
else, but I don't want him to touch Star Trek.
I think if they did something like an anthology animated series or something like that, where different creators would come in and have their little like 20-minute takes on Trek, so you get a broad, diverse thing of what you could get, I'd be okay with that. If he came in, did an episode of that, that's cool. A movie, I couldn't agree with you more. I think a Tarantino directed and written Trek movie would be a disaster.
I would rather see a Michael Bay Star Trek than that. I would rather see a Joel Schumacher Batman. I would rather see. Oh man, I don't know.
Man, Tim's coming in hot. Tim's got a hot take on this one. Screw Tarantino
what
Trek.
can I list?
I don't want it. Get it out of my face. So you guys, as far as the next Kelvin timeline movie, the next JJ movie with Chris Pine and the boys, where are you guys on that? How do you feel? Because apparently it's happening. So what are you guys expecting?
I feel like with all the Trek we have now, that's past.
Yeah, we don't.
It's missed its mark. It's too late now. I like those movies.
So
at least I really liked the first one.
Yeah, it was weird.
And I understand that it's happening. I don't understand why
Yeah.
it's happening. You've got so much Trek on TV. You know, you've got 5 shows running at the same time.
Maybe they're going to try for a shared universe thing. Maybe they're going to punch through a wormhole, and maybe they're going to come out of that anomaly that the Borg are watching or something.
There you go.
Hey, I mean,
you
who
never
knows?
know.
You never
Weird
know.
things have happened.
Yeah, that's true.
You never know.
As long as Riker warps in on the Titan, then I'm fine.
Yeah, Flashpoint.
As long as we get warp in the factor of 5, 6, 7, 8, then I'm totally good.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We've not seen him play.
Weird.
Any,
I'm shocked that they're actually doing another like movie with them, because I think I saw an article when they announced the new one saying that originally it got canceled because all of the actors just wanted too much money. They didn't have the budget to pay everybody what they were worth after all of the different actors started getting popular.
Mm-hmm.
And then they announced they were going to do it before signing contracts with any of the actors again.
That's
so I'm
weird,
like, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because now they're going to just charge as much as they want again.
Well, from what I understand, Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto have already signed on.
Yeah, but when they first announced it, I don't think any of the cast had signed on.
Oh,
No.
not the first time, that's for sure.
No, it was news to them, actually. A lot of them had come out and said, like, we our agents hadn't even spoken to this yet, and Paramount announced that it was already happening. So,
I agree.
So they were just like, well, I guess I know the position I'm bargaining from now.
What were you going to say, Tim?
I agree totally. I don't think they need to make this at all. I feel like the first ones worked as far as showing that Star Trek's a viable property that makes money, and that they kind of had to dumb it down for audiences and to an extent, as far as leaving out all the things that I like about Star Trek and making it more a pure action movie. And I feel like, why go back to that when we have, like we've all said just now, like we have a great shared universe. You can just make movies from that. If you want to make movies from that. Don't make movies from this other like weird.
That was going to be my next question. Like, what do you do? Because Star Wars is leaving money on the table right now, too. Like, we're going to be getting Star Wars movies again at some point, guys. It's not just going to be Star Wars TV shows. They own the IP. It's rich and gooey and chunky goodness. There's going to be more Star Wars movies. There's clearly going to be more Star Trek movies at some point. So if it's not the Kelvin movies, what would you want to see for a Star Trek movie? What would you base it on? Would it be a completely brand new thing like Kelvin was, just something else that's brand new? Or would you take one of the properties, somehow try to adapt it for a movie while still running it as a TV show? Like, what would be your plan for a Star Trek movie if it's not Kelvin?
Something different, something totally different.
Yeah, like a brand new imagining of Star Trek.
Yeah, maybe like a we know that they're talking about doing like the Section 31 show or the Starfleet Academy show and stuff like that. But things like that, like other aspects of the Star Trek universe that don't really get something highlighted on, something that you don't have to do a whole bunch of waste like half a movie to do backstory on, something that you can just like jump people
hit the ground running kind of thing. Yep. What do you guys think?
That could definitely be interesting. I think the problem that you have, or like the kind of risk that you take, is some people reacting to it the way that they reacted to Deep Space Nine, because up until that point everything had been on a ship traveling and then they were on a space station. I think if you switch the perspective of what we're seeing from the Star Trek universe to something that's like entirely at the Academy or entirely in this one kind of shady organization of the world, you run the risk of people not liking it, not reacting to it well, and being like, well, why did they change it? It's not Trek. But sometimes you need to switch it up. So it would be interesting to see if they would take that risk.
JS, what do you think?
I have some different thoughts on this myself. I feel like if you're going to do something completely new and different, it has to be a TV show. Nobody's going to go want to see a movie
That's what they do.
About a crew that you don't know, about a thing that just says Star Trek, but that has no familiarity, right? If you're making a movie, you have to make that movie based on characters that are popular, that people are going to want to go see. Unfortunately, there aren't a ton of those characters. There's Spock and McCoy. There's Picard, Data, and Riker, and that crew, and you know what I mean? Like, what else are people going to pay to go see the movies? Right? I mean, that's the problem I feel with Trek. You almost have to wait now. I truly believe that as far as movies, CBS needs to wait. They need to let all these shows get their run, do their thing, and then once these shows are done, then you bring back some of those characters as a movie. Whether it's a Strange New World crew, whether it's the Discovery crew, whether it's another... You know, let the dust settle, and then you do a series
agree.
of movies with those characters. I think that's the logical way I think I would go.
I like that.
But anything else, I feel
They
like
did it
who's
with
going to
the
pay to go
original
see
series
that,
and-
right? Sorry, what was that, Megan?
Oh, it's just for the way that you're describing. That's basically what they did with the original series and Next Gen. They had their runs on TV, and then they had movies.
Exactly.
Well, I feel like it would cut both ways, because if you try and feature a movie that has all these people, or if you like try and do something that, like, let's say happens between seasons or something, like we write a movie around that, then that seems like a money grab to me, to try and make people go to the theaters to see that, when why not tack that on? Why not make that the finale or the intro to the next season or something? So I personally would rather see something new and interesting. And even if that new and interesting subject is used as a vehicle to kickstart a new series, maybe, or something, that's kind of fine with me. But I feel like, again, like, if you can make something with people, like that happens with like the Strange New Worlds cast or something. But, if you're making people go to the theater to see it, to me, that, we're already paying for this streaming service. So if you're making me to go see something in a theater, it better be something new and special.
Nope, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep.
Friendly Canadian Geek Pool says Enterprise B or C movie that connects to TNG. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. A self-contained one-shot Star Trek movie about the Enterprise C when they return from yesterday's Enterprise.
That's pretty cool.
We've never seen that story,
That's a
right?
great idea.
Imagine that being a one-shot Star Trek movie.
It's a great idea.
Those are the type of things that could be cool as well. How do you springboard a series of movies off of that? It has to be really, really good, I suppose. And people have to want to see more. But yeah, I
That's
think
the cool thing. Sorry.
yeah, exactly. That's the cool thing about Star Trek, right? I mean, you could go anywhere, right? In all sorts of direction, for sure.
In
For
Strange
sure.
New Worlds, like, they're, who knows where they're going to go with this stuff. I mean, like, these, from what they've shown us with the spectrum of what they've shown us with with these first two episodes and how well they did it. I mean, like, it's pretty, those possibilities seem limitless. So yeah, they could do all kinds of cool stuff that blow our minds, as far as callbacks to things that were like threads that were left unhandled, from TNG and other stuff. Like, it's pretty cool, I think.
I want to change the subject and bring it back to the conversation we were having here. Do you guys feel like what they're doing in Strange New World is going to give us a new trio, a new Kirk, Bones, and Spock? Is that what they're doing with Pike, Pike, number one, and Spock?
100%. That's what they're marketing it anyway,
Yeah.
for sure. Although, like I said earlier, though, I do like it that it doesn't. I don't think it's going to be as hyper focused on just the three of them.
Mhm.
I like the fact that everyone has a role, everybody has a part to play, everybody has a voice. So far, we're only 2 episodes in, so I don't think it's going to be as hyper focused on the three of them as it was in the original series. And I don't know that I would rather get. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, it's nice. I know they call them the Magnificent Seven, but yeah, you're right. I mean, as far as the Next Gen goes, it really was the Picard, Riker, and Data show too, right? So. And let's be fair, it was really the Data show. Once they realized that he was the most popular character on the show. So,
Fair enough.
and something like that might happen too, because Paramount has a really bad habit of that. Like, oh, this one character is super popular, so now we're gonna like really hammer this character into everybody for a while. So yeah. So that might happen, but I would like to see. I would like to see them continue to keep the diversity up high and just keep rotating the feature around. Having said that, Pike's a damn fine looking human man, and that Spock guy ain't too hard on the eyes either. And then you also have Rebecca Romijn. So there's some very, very attractive humans that are on that show. And may I say, that new Uhura, not mad. Not mad at all. Yep. Thank you very much. That's some brilliant casting. I haven't seen her work before, but wow. There are some attractive humans on that show. So now that's a huge calling point, because their acting is great too. But yeah, it's a good question. I hope they keep it diverse. Yeah, Michael throwing up some water there. Yeah, yep. You're not wrong, sir.
I like the casting they did for Christine as well. Again, I'm like,
oh yes,
yep, good choices.
Yep,
Good
good
choices
choices
were
were made for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, outstanding cast all around. I absolutely loved it. In fact, one of the coolest, I think, interesting things about the cast, as you guys know, the Anar, the new guy who looks Andorian. Of course, they
Oh,
come
the
from,
blind guy. Yeah.
the same planet, but like a different portion of the planet.
Oh, is that what it is? Because I was like, how is this guy not Andorian? He's just a white Andorian. Like, I didn't understand what was going on.
So, like, I think they first introduced the Anar back in the animated series. I think. But I know that they actually really talked about them in Enterprise with like that whole Andorian stuff that they had going on. Like Enterprise at least dropped a few nuggets that were kind of cool that they're probably going to be able to go back to. But the Anar, I think all of them are blind, and they have like Daredevil like ability of being able, as you saw, like when Spock threw the carrot to him and stuff. But yes, the actor Bruce Hemmer is actually blind as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
he really now? That's interesting.
Awesome. That's cool. I like when they do that. It was like in Eternals where the girl that played the deaf girl was a deaf girl because, hey, man, if you're going to have a deaf girl, why not get a deaf girl to play her?
Right. She played a deaf girl in Walking Dead, I think, also, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
So, So if you're going to have, it's like Marlee Matlin. When Marlee Matlin first hit the movie scene, she was a deaf woman playing deaf women because why wouldn't we do that? That makes perfect sense. So we have a blind character on the show. I have a crazy idea. Let's find a blind guy to play this. Yeah. What? Crazy talk. Yeah, and he's only been in a couple of scenes, had a couple of lines of dialogue, but I like his. He's got definite cranky old man vibes, and I can relate.
Yeah, and he's the new chief engineer, right? What? So we're gonna get more of him.
Yeah, I hope so.
He's great. Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
It should be good. It should be good. I mean, we've been on for over an hour now. I wanted to talk a little bit about episode 2. Can we get into a little bit of spoiler talk? I mean, guys, if you're still watching, we've been on for an hour. We're going to get into a little bit of spoiler talk. So if you haven't seen episode 2 of Strange New Worlds, maybe this is the time for you guys to log off. So we'll say good night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. But, so what did you guys think of the episode? I mean, they just knocked it out of the park right back again. Like the first episode was amazing. And the second episode, I was like, okay, second episode is going to be okay, but it won't be as good as the first one. I thought it was even better than the first one. Thoughts?
So I will say, I didn't realize we were talking about it this episode until you sent me the plot, and then I was out. So I made it 2/3 of the way through the episode before we started recording.
So you haven't finished it yet?
So I get to find out how it ends once we're done this. But so far, good. Am sold. Is a good episode.
We can keep it high level then, I guess. I don't know if we went to.
I don't care. I'll enjoy it.
She has you had COVID. Now you're going to ruin what I find to be one of the greatest Star Trek episodes possibly ever.
Why is that? Really why? Because
they have the interaction with the music, having that as like a communication.
I don't know. Like it's everything about it. I don't know. I can't really. I don't know. It's hard to. It just hit everything like about letting all the new characters shine, especially her, obviously, and then like the twists that I won't totally talk about, but obviously when we talked about like the morality and the gray area and the interesting parts where we really explore ourselves within Star Trek, when it's not a clear like bad guy versus good guy kind of dynamic, or when it seems like that and then it reveals itself not to be, and all that kind of stuff like that. It hit all the right Trek things for me in every single way. You have this like, pre-warp species that has no idea that this like insane stuff is happening above them. Like, they're like gathering water and like planting like, hay or something in the desert or something. And like this epic scene is happening above them. Just classic Star Trek. I love it.
And I love too the difference in the level of dialogue between Discovery and Strange New Worlds, where on Discovery, especially when on the bridge and there's something happening, everybody is so serious and like locked in, and like everything is like this dramatic moment and emotions are high. And then the ship says, or the communications officer says, we are the shepherds or whatever. And Anson Mount literally turns to the communication girl and goes, like, really? Like he's like the level of dialogue it's almost like they're just out there funning. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're just out there like,
well, it's a lighter show. It's a lighter show.
It is. No, 100%. But even in the first episode, I think someone said like, "What's the mission?" And he's like, "To explore." Like, what do you mean? We're just gonna go
explore
out and
strange new worlds.
Now, the thing I did really dig was they really, which I feel like they really haven't done before. I don't know if they've ever done it before. They really showed off the maneuverability of the Enterprise in this one. When
That was the
they're
best
in that,
angle,
when they're in
Ortega
that pitched
maneuver.
battle, and then Ortega starts doing all her moves and stuff, and you see it like coming up through and arcing over and everything else, and I'm like, they've never really shown that to that extent, especially with the Enterprise before, especially the classic Enterprise, because everything is just like
Well, it's smart
like,
directing, like they've evolved, right?
100%. Yeah. But even my favorite space battle of all time, which is in Star Trek 2, obviously, the Enterprise against the Reliant, it is still just basically like, like it's not, but this, yeah, I mean, they really showed off what the Enterprise can actually do. And they made it seem like what they should have, three-dimensional space. It's not just, it's not just two ships that always meet face up on a flat plane, just like la la la, like, yeah, dude, it's
Just
all
like
the,
what,
yeah.
Jeff?
Listen,
Deep Space
all right?
Nine, you know, with the Defiant, they did have a few moments there with Deep Space Nine had that action cam where it was like the cam over the shoulder of the Defiant. Like,
Yeah, so the
yeah,
Defiant would fly
So
through.
it did have a
and-
few moments, but
Yeah.
normally, yeah, that was just, I think that was just beyond their capabilities of really
Oh, for
pulling
sure.
off a lot, and
Yeah.
or they just
But
didn't
even
think that smart about it. But it
like
was just
seeing
amazing.
debris hit the shields, and then the shields would have that white glow where
It
the
was so
debris
good.
was hitting. Dude, yeah, that for me. I was like, all right, man. I don't know how much you guys spent on this episode, but well spent budget on this one because this looks brilliant.
Yeah, it was.
Well, yeah, and
fantastic.
it's
I
one
love it.
thing I don't think people really. I don't want to say don't really realize, but at least I sometimes forget. It's like, yeah, they're in space. You can't just. It's not just turn left, turn right, go faster, whatever. Like you have the entire. You can go up, you can go down, you can go wherever. There is not. There's.
Yeah. Space has three dimensions, but I even like the opening, whatever 5 minutes or 10 minutes when it's character moments at the captain's dinner.
Mhm.
That was
All
amazing.
of that was played
so
out
good.
so well right from the jump. Like the helmsman pranking Uhura, and then Pike opens the door and he starts laughing when he realized what's going on, and just the naturalness of all the
Dressed
interactions.
uniform. Nice.
Like they all just played like you would never think that was the second episode of a series, because the way they all played off each other in that scene, you get a piece of each individual character and it gets you to know all of them a little bit better throughout that scene, even though it's only like a tight 7 minutes. Brilliant, man. Brilliant.
So it was like
they
I feel
feel
like
like a family already.
I feel like I feel like the Deep Space Nine and Voyager were trapped within the rules Next Generation established, right? So a lot of it came down to like also comes down to like the directing and the way that was written and all that kind of stuff. So all these like candid moments where you've seen like Cisco and everybody, like he's cooking for everybody and it's like a fun moment. It was cute back then, but this is a whole new level of, like you said, a kind of attainable, some kind of relatable interaction that just felt that I think speaks to how smart they are about the show in general. Like they know what they're doing, and maybe they had to work through some stuff in Discovery, and which I still love, and I think it's it has a different purpose and operates in a different world and a different tone. And
Agreed.
Again, Discovery, like they were responsible.
Sorry, Tim. Are you saying Discovery shit compared to Strange New World?
No, I'm saying that they have the
Such an
benefit
ass.
of being light and fun about it because Discovery saved the universe, right? Discovery
Right.
did all this hard
Yeah,
work
that
so that
pressure
Pike
and-
and
Oh, I
everybody
see
could
where
have
you
fun.
go with that. So they're only there because of Discovery.
Don't
Every season's Discovery is literally saving the
I
universe, right?
can't. I
You're
can't
right.
with
I mean,
him.
you're
But in
right.
every
Terrible.
episode, Strange New Worlds is maybe saving a planet. So let's give them a break, all right? Let's give them a break. Maybe
It is
a little bit more serious
is
because the universe depends on it, Jeff.
It is the interesting take between doing serialized TV and doing episodic TV. 100%.
For sure.
You can be lighter and fluffier and easier and have those longer character moments when you're doing episodic stuff as opposed to serialized stuff, right? Because not everything is going to lead into everything unto an ultimate finish. The only real thread through all this is the fact that he's seen his own death, which I have to be honest with you, my favorite thing about Pike is how chill. Like he is easily the most chill, laid back. Like I know Kate Mulgrew kind of like phoned it a little bit by her own admission, being Janeway, but no one has been as cool and suave and debonair and laid back and chill like Christopher Pike is. But that little nugget now where he's seen his own death and he knows it's coming, it's blunting that edge a little bit. And I'm kind of hoping, not that they move past it, but I'm kind of hoping he gets to a point where he can accept it and he can get back to how he was on Discovery. Because I loved him in Discovery. Because same thing what we're talking about. Everybody was on Discovery was so serious, and he was just like, hey guys, what's going on? Like he was just so like chill and dope, and I loved it. And he's carrying that over here. So
yeah, like you said, Mike,
Yeah,
he's
and that was really
so
good.
chill. Sorry, it's an amazing kind of dynamic that we don't get to have so much. Sorry, I cut you off.
go ahead,
No
mate.
worries. I was just gonna say I really like the way that they do have that little like existential dread for the character though, like just in the back of his brain, and he doesn't show it often, but there's just like that 1 or 2 second like throwaway line when he's talking to number one or when he's thinking about it back at home in the first episode. And it's just seeing that like the character is serious, the character does have that like inner turmoil, but he still can have fun and still be the same captain to the most degree. I do agree with you. I would like to see him move past it, but I think it's a good sort of through line of like a little bit of drama and a little bit of difficulty and like character development that he could work through the first season.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to see him get over it.
I don't have a problem with him having it. I just hope it doesn't become. I hope it doesn't get bigger. I don't want it to become this all-consuming thing, and we lose like the laid-back captain, and we get this guy that's always on the bitter edge of I'm going to die in 10 years, whatever. I want him to still be that cool laid-back guy that has this weird thing hanging over his head. So,
well, I don't know, because already in episode 2, he does this speech to Una where he tells her, you know, I have to focus. I have to hold the track because I have to save all these people, right? Like, he's going to die, and he knows he's going to die, and he's not even going to stop. He's not going to try to stop it because in his mind, he died saving a bunch of people. 16 people? Was that what he said?
yeah,
He dies
like
saving 16 crew members. And so that's what he says, right? He says he has to stay the course. He has to save those people. He's been repeating their names.
Yeah.
I hope we see a little bit of him starting to, I don't want to say lose it, but I want to see it affecting him to a point where he has to, you know, every once in a while, Spock has to snap him out of it and be like, dude, like, what the hell? You know, like, we got to get this done. It adds a dimension, I feel, to Pike, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
we will.
Overall, when you look at Star Trek, I want to say since Voyager, even with Voyager, actually since Next Generation, there's been a lot of debate. There's been a lot of people not liking one series and a bunch of other people loving the series. And there's been a lot of, I almost want to say, infighting within the Trek fandom. And that's okay. As far as I'm concerned, that's part of being a Trekkie. I mean, you're not going to like everything, and fighting for what you like is part of being a Trekkie, right, Tim?
If it's all, yeah, exactly. If it's
It
all
is.
in good fun, of course.
It
And
is.
As long as you're not saying anything negative about Discovery, I think we're all fine. No,
Fair enough.
Like you said, just like really, it's like such a great like thing that we can all kind of share and have favorite parts about, and you know, benefit off of in different ways. And thankfully, they have so many different properties running at the same time that really any of us can just like kind of enjoy what we want all at the same time, sort of. And you
And
know.
sometimes we're
Is
wrong.
this-
Like JS is wrong about Discovery and Megan's wrong about Lower Decks. I mean, sometimes people are just wrong, right? This is what happens. It's fine. You're allowed to be wrong. It's a free
Here
society.
comes
Yes, you're
Mr.
right.
Wise
Yes, you
Man
are allowed
over
to be
here.
wrong, Jeff. It's okay. We don't hold it against you that you really like
That's
Lower
right.
Decks.
That's right.
know
No,
who I
but
am.
Lower Decks is really good, actually. Have you even checked it out?
I've watched the entire first season and the first couple episodes of the second, and I do not like it.
Oh, wow. I loved it. I loved Lower Decks.
Once I got past episode 2, I was really happy.
Oh, yeah. I think we've said this in
Which
our
one?
last Trek episode. It's the Rikerist Trek of all Treks. I
Damn right.
love it.
Damn right.
It took a
I don't
few
agree.
episodes to shake out for me. It took a few episodes,
Mhm.
but once I got there, it felt like, you know, really, really funny, and I liked all the jokes. But at first, I felt like it was trying way too hard to cram in every reference and to try and be quick and funny and like, you know, Family Guy or, you know, Rick and Morty or something. But
Yeah,
after a few episodes,
it's
it got there.
It's too Rick and Morty for me.
Yeah, fair enough. I can see that. I mean, I can see a lot of people not liking that style. I mean, it's, you know, it's not for everybody. Again, Trek is not for everybody. That said, is Strange New World that? Are we finally getting the Trek to unite the Trek fandom? Is this what this is? Because I'm reading everywhere.
The Trek
I'm
that
on
rules
all
them
the different forums and
One
Facebook
Trek.
groups and
And in the darkness,
One
find them.
Trek. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is the one Trek to rule them all, isn't it? I mean, everybody's
It's-
loving
They've
this
been
so
forging
far.
this one on the mountain for a while.
Mhm.
I'll be the dissenting opinion. It's too early. It 2 episodes are amazing. They've knocked it the park with both.
Technically, you're right.
It's just
You're
way
correct.
too early.
Technically,
Could
right.
it be? Does it have the potential to be? Absolutely, I think it does. Will it be? It's too early to know. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
If they can keep it up, it'd be great. Because even within this, like, I don't think there's a single other show, like you were saying, after Next Gen that all four of us agree on that we really like, except for Strange New Worlds for the first 2 episodes. So if they can keep going with it, if panel is any any way to go, it seems like this is the one that'll keep all of the humans happy.
Tim?
Yeah, I think this is. I think it's too early to really be certain, but I think any early indicators say that it has every indicator that's going to be the best one so far. I mean, none of the other Trek shows, even Next Generation, the first 2 episodes weren't this good, and I think also everybody loves the Next Generation because it's all we had at the time. Other than the original series, which really wasn't that great by then to rewatch. So. I feel like a lot of times people need to reevaluate or kind of check their rosy glow of the Next Generation because, you can sit down and rewatch all the episodes now. And there's a lot of filler episodes and a lot of episodes that just waste a lot of time and aren't really that great. And even the best episodes aren't all that great in hindsight sometimes. So I think people need to be careful. I still love Next Generation. It's still probably my favorite of all time because of its place in my heart. But pound for pound, episode for episode, when you compare them, Strange New Worlds looks like it's poised to be the best one. I mean, comparing
as long as they get a chance, I want them to
styles.
get a chance to have their best of both worlds. I want them to have their chance to get that epic 2-parter or whatever, like Babylon 5 World Without End. I still need to have that. I want it to stay episodic. I don't want it to serialize, but I want it to have that cool cliffhanger 2-part episode, because I don't know if you guys were watching when it happened, but that best of both worlds part 1, when that ends, they got the deflector dish and Riker says fire, and then a screen goes to black, and I had to wait a whole fucking summer to find out what happened, and it drove me absolutely bananas. So yeah, dude. Yeah, so I hope they get a chance to do something akin to that.
I hope they do the same. At the end of every season should be a cliffhanger to the next season.
It should.
That was
a
a next TNG staple.
Yeah, I think they promised they would stick with the old school format of episodic content. That's their mandate, basically. And of course, they're going to keep the other arcs going with Pike worrying about, what's going to happen to him in 10 years and all this other stuff. But yeah, I love it.
Me too.
Awesome. Hey, listen, there's still a
Great
couple
job,
people
man.
watching here on Instagram. Thanks, guys, for sticking with us. We haven't had a chance to go through a lot of the comments, but great talk tonight. I have to head out, but this was another great listen. Jordan, when did he even join? I didn't notice.
He was
joining.
actually early. For Jordan,
Was
he was
he
super
really?
early. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
We got
Well, it
to
looks like
figure
he's
out a way
gone
to get
now.
Jordan on, actually. So.
Yeah, we do. I'm trying to go back here. There's a lot of comments that we've missed, but hey, listen, thanks anyway for joining us tonight. We had a great conversation. If you're watching us here on YouTube after the fact, or even on Facebook, leave us a comment below. Let us know what you thought about all these, fourth season of Discovery, second season of Picard, and the first few episodes of Strange New Worlds. Guys, thanks for coming on. It's always amazing to have you guys on. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to pitch? Any social medias? Anything? Megan, you've got probably the longest list, so how about you start?
I was gonna say, I have a very long list of different fairs and markets that I'm going to be doing with my business over the next couple of months. First couple will be Gaukel Street markets here in Kitchener. I'm going to be going to Robin in the Hood the same weekend as Niagara Falls Comic Con, so we'll probably not see many people I know there because they will be in Niagara. But you're going to be busy down in Niagara Falls.
Tell people how they can find your business, Megan. Make sure you get that in there.
So if you want, you can reach out to me either on Instagram, on my business, either this page or my business account, Valkyrie Customware, or you can just go right to my website, valkyriecustomware.ca.
Awesome. Tim.
Oh, thanks, Jess and Mike. Thanks, and Megan. Nice to meet you. Thanks, guys, for having me on. I do photography, cosplay, editing, stuff like that. Since the pandemic, I haven't really gone to anything, but this summer I'm going to be getting back out at the cons and stuff. So I'm starting with BlurredCon, and the furthest off one that I have planned is New York Comic Con. So anyway,
you were talking about that. That's right.
Yeah,
that should be a blast.
I used to go to New York Comic Con almost every year before the pandemic and before my daughter was born. But I'm looking forward to getting back out there. So if anybody needs like photography, edits, or anything like that, just hit me up. Instagram at Black Captain Kirk, spelled a little weird. But if you ever have any doubts about that, just connect with these guys and you can find me, I'm sure.
Yeah, I might hit you up for some cosplay edits actually, Tim. I haven't thought about doing that before, but because I don't get a whole lot of photos edited, so maybe we'll talk turkey.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mr. Jeff,
whatever you need. Yeah.
So it's just some maintenance stuff. I've got a birthday party as Spider-Man on May 28th. That's here in London, and then here in London on May 29th, it is the walk. It's a cystic fibrosis walk. It's called Make CF History. So I'm going to be going there as Spider-Man for 2 or 3 hours as well, just to interact with the kids and have some fun. That's also here in London where I'm at. And then June 3rd through 5th is Niagara Falls Comic Con. So I'm going to be there all 3 days for that event. And then June 25th is Forest City Comic Con, which is also here in London. So yeah, I got a whole bunch of stuff coming up, lots of Spider-Manning, and then just some conventions to hit up and go to. And anytime I can get out to do some charitable work and do events like that, then that's a bonus for me. So yeah. And I'm going to be talking to our boy Tim there, maybe getting a couple cool edits going on too. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I usually specialize in cosplay edits, but I can just edit like regular photography stuff. So regular model photography, whatever kind of stuff. So
there you go.
You do not say. Ooh.
Yes. Megan is a model, so she might be hitting you up for some stuff too. So yes.
It'll be like, I have ideas.
Yes. So go check out Tim's account if you haven't, Megan, because I've seen some of his edits and they're dope. They look really, really
Thank
good.
you.
So
thanks, guys.
Yeah. What about you there, Monsieur Belanger?
Nothing much going on the cosplay side for the summer. Next con is going to be Fan Expo. I'm not really doing much until then. I was hoping to go to Niagara Falls, but I'm not going to be going because I'm going to Niagara Falls a couple weeks later. So
yeah, that's fair.
It's one of those things where you got to pick and choose your battles at one point. What's that? Sorry?
New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I wish. God, I wish. That's one I would love to go. New York, San Diego. I mean, I'd love to go just to be able to say that I've been, but it's one of those things where it's so massive and it's too much for me. Even New York,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, in San Diego, also, like, if you're going to be doing stuff after the con, like, all there is to do is like the con events, which are going to be like a zoo, right? So in New York, I mean, you got New York, right? There's always stuff to do.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Well, for me, I mean, really, this summer, that's going to be it. Otherwise, it's going to be all about working on this channel, trying to make some content, and probably getting a new cosplay started soon. So keep an eye out for that.
Sweet.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that.
Cool thing.
I think that's about it, guys. Thanks again for coming along. Everybody watching here on YouTube, make sure you leave us a like and comment below. Really appreciate you watching or even sticking this far. Not sure if anybody watches this video this far. If you don't want to watch the video this far, I should have pitched this at the beginning. We're on Spotify, guys. We're on Odyssey. What's the Amazon one? They've partnered up with Indigo, and it's called Amazon Music. Whatever the other part of Amazon Music is, we're on there. We're on all the big platforms. So if you don't want to listen to us, and if you don't want to watch us, and you want to listen to us, check us out on all the podcast platforms. Geekboutique.podbean.com. That's our site. So go check it out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay geeky. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Live long and prosper, kids.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Nerds.
Like that? Nice.
Go.
Nerds.
Nerd alert. All right, see you guys.
Absolutely, nerd alerts. See you, Tim.